I wanted to make a video to explain what I've been thinking and kind of where I want to take the project and well, there's a lot to discuss for sure. And one thing I've been thinking about is deleting a lot of the old stuff that isn't albums and stuff like that because I don't feel like that part of me represents me anymore. Like a lot of the beats and stuff, I don't think that really represents who I am in terms of music anymore. I feel like the stuff I'm making now represents me a little bit more on a level. I'm definitely a lot more proud of the music that I'm making now versus before. And anyways, like a lot of the stuff that I that a lot of the beats and stuff, that stuff I haven't recorded or done since 2021. It's a lot of stuff that I've kept in archives because I made so much music in 2021 that I didn't feel like I could release it all at once. And now we're at the 5 year mark since I made that music, and now I've really been thinking about how I want to be seen as an artist and what that means for me. So I'm thinking of deleting a lot of the stuff, a lot of that old stuff, because stuff like the Nice Cock Bro EP, The Falling, um, the A Few Acoustics EP from 2022 with another one. My latest full length album, Without Love Started New. That's who Aaron Szyszko is. That's where the real me lies, not the beats or whatever, not the looped beats and stuff. That's not really who I am. I'm not gonna delete a majority of the stuff that I've released up until now, but some of it I do want gone because I feel like it kind of that's not what I want people to find when I put out music. I want the stuff I'm currently making to be at the forefront, to be on the front page, whatever. I'm really trying not to sound arrogant, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? I don't want that stuff crowding what I feel is relevant to my identity. I'm also thinking I don't want that stuff like crowding with what I feel my identity is now, like the true emotional core of my music, my voice, that sort of thing. I'm also thinking about changing my name, my artist name, because no one knows who Aaron Szyszko is. Like, at the beginning, I was hoping this project would be a success, but that hasn't really happened. So either I'm just going to accept that I'm going to be an obscure artist, or maybe changing the name or something else. If you guys have any advice, let me know. Because, for example, hold on. Because no one knows who Gary Anthony James Webb is, but people know who Gary Newman is. Nobody knows who Michael Trent Reznor is, but people know who Trent Reznor is. People know who Axl Rose is. People know who M Shadows is, that sort of thing. So I'm thinking if I should do something like that to help maybe boost my reach, but if you have any ideas, let me know. Like, sure, sometimes I get 100 views if I'm lucky on something, but a lot of my stuff goes, pretty under the radar. But the real reason we're here today, the point of all this is I wrote so many lyrics in 2025 that currently I have a wealth of lyrics, at least 10 or 11 of them, 10 or 11 albums that that are going to be made. And also, I want to talk about side projects that I want to begin working on. I've got my main project and 4 side projects in mind. I'm really, really excited to talk about this. We've got the main project, Aaron Szyszko, which is a conceptual and autobiographical project exploring personal experiences, perceptions, and trauma through music. It blends reality with interpretation, transforming lived events into experimental soundscapes and narratives that wouldn't fit elsewhere. The project serves as a deeply personal lens where memory, emotion, and imagination intersect, revealing the inner workings of the self. And what I want to do with Aaron Szyszko is I want it to transition it to a more collaborative sort of project with maybe with me handling the lyrics and the vocals and having other members working on it, working on other instruments and stuff like that. I guess I want to become more of a creative director than just the person doing every single thing on my lonesome, if that makes sense. And next we have Acidic Fate, an industrial side project. Oh, I'm planning on working on this one after I release the album that I'm currently working on, and hoping to get that one out in 2027 and 2028, while still working on Aaron Szyszko. God, this is gonna be so hard to balance. Oh man, but I believe I can do it. I believe I can do it. What acidic fate means is we are doomed to a harsh, chemically induced, or psychologically corrosive destiny. And then we have Moral Recoil, a doom metal project. Um, I want to, yeah, but just so you know, acidic fate is like, I want these to be bands rather than just me. I want to collaborate with people and have a sort of set kind of lineup. Moral recoil doom metal. Um, the violent psychological retreat of the human conscience when confronted with overwhelming ethical horror. And that one is going to be like 3 to 4 members. I'm envisioning maybe me on vocals and bass or vocals and guitar. Someone else on drums, and someone else on guitar and bass and distorted vocals, because harsh vocals, because I can't really scream for shit, honestly. I can sing okay, but I can't really scream. And yeah. And then we have Core Drag, the most interesting of these, which I'll get to. I'll get to these projects more in depth as time goes on. Core Drag, the relentless and painful process of struggling with and attempting to change one fundamental nature and destructive tendencies. And that's going to be like a more traditional band setup, 4 to 5 members. And then Dream of, gothic rock post-punk. A reflective and melancholic exploration of longing, emotional fragility, and romantic despair. Kind of like The Cure. I know. But yeah, The Cure is really good, okay? Who doesn't like Robert Smith? Um, a reflective and melancholic exploration of longing, emotional fragility, and romantic despair. The project immerses itself in introspection and memory, capturing the tension between desire, loss, and fleeting moments of beauty. It blends depressive gloom with moments of sweetness, creating a soundscape of intimate melancholy and emotional resonance. 3 to 4 members. Okay, now we're gonna talk about Aaron Szyszko and the upcoming projects for my solo project. I don't want to reveal it. Man, I'm just gonna do it. It's my video. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So what I'm currently working on now is the disintegrating hijack of the mind of one Aaron Szyszko that it is said they were not long for this world, but rather blackness and sewage, a industrial noise rock harsh noise project. I posted about that. That's set to come out this year. And then after this album, I'm going to take a break and work on Acidic Fate, which I'll get to next. And then the next album is going to be Lost. It's going to be like more industrial, experimental. Yeah, I know. We've got to have a bit of an industrial theme going with a few of these projects, but it's going to lean into more metallic sounds, metal, alternative rock, industrial metal, industrial rock, that sort of thing. And I'm hoping to get Chris Verena of Nine Inch Nails to play drums on several of the tracks. I feel like that could be doable. I really do, because he's kind of retired from that sort of thing. I don't know if he still plays like he used to, but if he ever gets back to me, we'll see. But it would be so cool to have him on that project. Lost is a deeply, deeply important album to me. And that one's going to be slated for 2029. I'm not going to say too much about these projects. I'm going to say what they are, because we don't want to be here all day. And then we have Cries of Desolation Part 2, slated for 2033, and it's called Earth. Cries of Desolation Part 2, Earth. This is a follow up to the ambient and instrumental album Cries of Desolation, which came out in 2023. Yeah, 10 years from now, I know. And I'll be 30 then. Holy shit. So, yeah. I'll be 30, and that one's going to be more progressive rock, progressive metal. So, yeah. Aaron Szyszko is basically like a playground for whatever sound I feel like fits what I'm writing at this point. If I feel like there's like some sort of like vibe with that fits with what I'm writing, I want to just explore it regardless of whatever genre it is. And then we have This Is My World, industrial rock, like just like sort of like with teeth a little bit of with teeth, like that had more guitar focused sounds. Um, and that's slated for 2035. And then we have the direct follow up to that, the most palpable, repugnant recesses where you push me further into, which is where I'll experiment with gothic rock and post punk on that project. 2037, I'll be 34. Um, then we have Dystonia, 2039, age 36, which is alternative indie. It's gonna be like a huge collage of a bunch of sounds, that sort of thing. Each song is gonna sound different, yada yada. Then we have Displacement, the follow up to that one, which kind of explores similar themes of dystonia. Not every album is going to be like a deep conceptual thing, like a story, but I feel like if projects have a similar sound to each other and similar themes are being explored, that they can go together. Displacement 2041 at age 38, more of the same kind of stuff. That one sort of leans into more rock sounds, but I feel like it's kind of the same vibe. Then we have the sorry the completion of the trilogy, Syntonic Stagnation, which I want to have a more of a 21 Pilots and Radiohead sort of vibe, which is going to be like probably my most optimistic sort of recording up at that point. Um, I wrote like I wanted to try to explore more happier lyrics and stuff like that, and this is supposed to reflect that. And then we have the one which will so Without Love, Start Anew, Lost, and the one are all a trilogy. Um, Without One was like a denial record of I don't care about the person who broke up with me and they didn't hurt me and stuff like that. I'm in denial, trying to move on from them. Lost is realizing just how much they affected me, and the one is going to be like Hope and Redemption. It's going to be like a sort of like an Arcade Fire kind of sounding record, like alternative folk, chamber pop, indie rock, indie folk, acoustic rock, stuff like that. And I want that one specifically to come out in 2043. I'll be 40 then, because I feel like it's appropriate to make that sort of album when I'm that age. Like it's going to be deeply reflective. Hopefully, it does actually reflect where I am in life by that time. That is the aim, I think, since I'm planning these projects for the way future. And then we have Cries of Desolation Part 3, which is going to be an instrumental album, electro industrial noise, stuff like that. Cries of Desolation Part 4. Oh, that one comes out 2046 when I'm 43. Cries of Desolation Part 4, 2048, age 45. Drone Rock and Chant. That one's going to be a long one. Cries of Desolation Part 5, 2051, age 48. Acoustic and Flamenco. Cries of Desolation Part 6, 2055, age 52, which will be the last one. No, wait, not. Part 6, 2055, when I'm 52 years old. Alternative indie electronic experimental. And Cries of Desolation Part 7, 2059, age 56, heavy metal, which will be the last one. I'm not sure where I want to take the concept of Cries of Desolation with these records, but we'll see. But that's for now the plan with this project. Let's talk about the side projects, okay? Let's get into the meat of everything. This is going to be a long fucking video, I'm sorry. Oh my god. Well, we're going to start with Acidic Fate, because that's one I'm most excited about. So, Acidic Fate, the first album, is slated to come out in 2027. I hope that's possible. And I'm really, really hoping I get people together who wanna work on this sort of thing with me. I hope I'm not too demanding. I don't want to seem like I'm too demanding or controlling or any of that sort of thing. That would be awful. It's the last thing I want. Acidic Fate, like that's less deeply conceptual stuff and more like just kind of venting, I guess, with this sort of project. The first album comes out in 2027. Um, I don't think each record is going to sound too different from the other. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's just going to be kind of a collage of every sort of industrial sound one can think of. Um, Acidic Fate, the first album, and each album is just going to be Acidic Fate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's going to be 5 records in the main Acidic Fate discography. So, Acidic Fate 1, 2027, Acidic Fate 2, 2031, Acidic Fate 3, 2032. But that one's going to explore a more different sort of sound. Oh, yes, I should mention, each Acidic Fate album is going to have 4 tracks less than the previous one. Acidic Fate 1 has 16, Acidic Fate 2 has 12, Acidic Fate 3 has 8, Acidic Fate 4 has 4, Acidic Fate 5 has 1. And Acidic Fate 2 is slated for 2031, Acidic Fate 3 is slated for 2032, Acidic Fate 4 and 5 are both slated for 2035 because I feel like I can knock those out in the same year. And Acidic Fate 4 is more industrial metal, and Acidic Fate 5 is, I think, just going to be like a very long noise rock, sort of noise core, noise wall kind of sounding thing. Because I want it to be the longest standalone track at 14 minutes. So, and like the definitive statement of the project. Yeah, basically, I'm setting up this project to end in a run of about 7 to 9 years. But furthermore, some CDs fell. I'll get those after I'm done recording. We have the Acidic Fate Presents. I want to cover my top 3 favorite Nine Inch Nails albums. Acidic Fate presents The Downward Spiral, originally performed by Nine Inch Nails, slated for 2034, which will be the 40th anniversary of that album. I want to cover the album, try to be as faithful as possible, but also make it sound like my own style, that sort of thing. And then we have Acidic Fate Presents Not the Actual Events, originally performed by Nine Inch Nails, slated for 2036. That'll be 20 years after that EP comes out. And then we have Acidic Fate Presents Year Zero, originally performed by Nine Inch Nails, slated for 2037. That'll be 30 years after Year Zero comes out. Hopefully it's no longer relevant by then. Jesus Christ. That'd be great. That'd be really, really great. And that's kind of what Acidic Fate is, an industrial project. And I thought, why not cover a few NIN albums? Because Trent Reznor kind of has redefined what music is for me. And I'm hoping this project is at least semi-successful, honestly. I hope I don't make the same mistake with the Aaron Szyszko project, and I'm actually able to get my music out for people to hear it. And then we have Moral Recoil. I want to talk about that one next. Moral Recoil, the violent psychological retreat of the human conscience when confronted with overwhelming ethical horror. The first Moral Recoil album is called A Cacophony of Violent Voices Silenced in an Instant. And that record is going to come out in 2030, age 27. Good old doom metal. And I think I want that first album to sound like a mix of doom metal styles, like traditional doom, sludge, modern doom, that sort of thing. You know how it is. And I've already came up with a title for what I want the second record to be, called King of Sludge. And it's going to sound more like sludge metal in the doom metal world. And that one's set to come out in 2037. Moral Recoil 3, 2040. Moral Recoil 4, 2044. Moral Recoil 5, 2045. 6, 2046, 7, 2049, 8, 2053. This one is going to span about like 20 years, I think, and over 8 records. And I think that's doable. Yeah, I really thought this stuff out of how I'm going to balance my solo project and these side projects that I don't feel fit what I'm doing with the solo project. And then we have Dream of, the Gothic Rock project, which I just came up with today, so I don't have any ideas for it, but I know I want it to be 6 albums total. That's all for that one. And then we have, I think, the most interesting one, Core Drag, the metal project. First album, No God to Control Me, 2042. I'll be just before I turned 40. That's the year I turned before I turned 40. And that one's gonna be kind of like lean more primarily toward alternative metal and new metal, that sort of thing. But you know what's interesting? Core Drag 2, 2053. 11 years after No God to Control Me. Yeah, I want this project to be purposefully very split between years between each record. I'm only planning doing 3 albums with this record, and I will be 50 in 2053, and then Core Drag 3, 2064, I'll be 61, and after that, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with music, but who knows. So that's kind of where I'm at with music right now so far. I've planned 38 years in advance of about 30 albums. I hope at least someone is interested in working with me. Contact me if you are, because it'd be great to have some hands on this project. I hope this all makes sense, and I know I'm being kind of vague with it, but I don't want to reveal every single potential detail of the project. So to recap, I'm thinking about deleting some of my older material that I don't feel represents me anymore. I'm thinking of changing at least my last name to something that people will recognize. So because my last name is difficult to spell, and um just a rundown of what's going on with all the projects. I'm sure you guys understand. Rewatch as many times as you need to. I'm not editing any of this, by the way. I'm just gonna keep it all as is. The Dream of project, I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to, but I know twinkly, lush sounding guitars and post punk is a sound I want to explore because just it's so goddamn beautiful. Okay, the Cure is such a beautiful band. Joy Division, Bauhaus, all that sort of stuff. Great, great bands. Oh my god. All right, that's it. See ya.